5 changes coming to San Mateo County. 13 days ago, somebody rezoned your neighborhood. It was not your city council. It did not get a notice in the mail. There was no public hearing. You could have showed up and reject that because the decision was not made in your city. It was made in Sacramento. And depending on one single thing, how far your house sits from the Caltrain station, your property either just picked up a very valuable option or it just picked up a potential new neighborhood that is up to 9 stories tall. I'm not being dramatic. On July 1st, the state law called SB 79 went into effect in exactly 8 California counties. San Mateo County is one of them. Here's the part that you should genuinely stop you if you own here or if you are about to buy here. For the last 13 years, the entire value of a house on the peninsula has been building on one idea, that you can't build anything new, that scarcity is permanent. This is the bet every single one of us made when we signed these loan documents. That bet just got more complicated. Not wrong, more complicated. And the people who understand exactly how it changed are going to make very different decisions over the next 5 years than the people who do not. So, if you're relocating here, if you're trying to buy your first place on the peninsula, or if you already own and you are wondering rather to hold, this is the video. Because 5 things are changing. And number 3 is one that really explains all of it. Hey, I'm Decent Kai. My team and I have been selling real estate on the peninsula for over 13 years. Quick promise before we start. I'm not going to tell you the Bay Area is about to crash. It is not. And I'm not going to tell you your house is about to double either. Both of these people are on YouTube right now, and both of them are trying to sell you something. What I'm going to do is walk you through 5 real, verifiable changes that are hitting San Mateo County right now, and then tell you what I actually think they mean. Not what a press release thinks, what I think. From being in these neighborhoods every single day in a week, here's what you're going to walk away with. Exactly what SB 79 lets somebody build next to you, and why it is very different depending on which side of a quarter-mile line your house sits on. Why this law landed here and not somewhere else, which has a surprisingly simple answer to that, has nothing to do with politics. And the thing that happened in Menlo Park in May, almost nobody connected to any of this, which I think is the single most important real estate event on the peninsula in the last decade. I'm also going to give you the honest risk. There is a real one. It is coming to the ballot in November. I would rather you hear it from me. If this is useful, hit like, it genuinely helps, and subscribe, please. I do this every single week for San Mateo County specifically. Let's go. Change number 1, SB 79 is live and it measures from the train. Let me start with the listing. Years ago, I had a house near the tracks. Nice house, good bones. And I remember standing in the backyard with the buyer, and right on cue, the train went by. And they looked at me. And I knew exactly what was coming, because I heard of it 100 times. So how much does the train knock off the price? And that was an honest question. That was what the train was on this peninsula. It was a discount. Backing to the tracks was a defect. You price around. We will pull comps and quietly shave for it. I want you to hold into that because of July 1st. That is backwards. Here's what actually happened. According to the California Department of Housing and Community Development, SB 79 was signed by Governor Newsom in October of 2025, and it took effect on July 1st, 2026. It applies only in what the law calls urban trans counties. Means counties with more than 15 passenger rail stations. There are 8 of them in the entire state. In the Bay Area, that is San Francisco, Alameda, Santa Clara, and San Mateo. So, this is not a statewide thing that vaguely affects you. This is a law that was written for the counties that look exactly like ours, and we're on the list. What it does is this. If you own a parcel near a qualifying transit stop, and the parcel is zoned residential, mixed use, or commercial, the housing is now an allowed use on it, not a variance, not something you go beg for, an allowed use. And the state not your city, set the height and the density. Caltrain and BART stations are the top tier, and the way it works is a set of rings around the station. The closer you are, the more you can build. According to summaries of the law, sites right up against the station can reach around 9 stories within a quarter mile, roughly 7, and in a band between a quarter mile and a half mile, roughly 6. Through the outer ring only applies in cities of 35,000 people or more, which is why the rules stop a quarter mile in place, like Burlingame, San Carlos, Belmont, Millbrae, and Menlo Park. I want to be really careful here. I'm going to say on this camera, do not take my exact story count to the bank for a specific block. The tiers of the bands are technical. Cities are adopting their own implementation ordinances right now, and the difference between a parcel that allows 9 stories and one that allows nothing new can literally be a couple hundred feet from a map. If this affects you, call the planning department or call me. I will look it up with you. But here's the part I do want you to take it to the bank. Nobody is going to knock your house down. That is the first thing everybody assumes, and it is not how it works. SB 79 is not an eminent domain. It is an entitlement. It only does anything at all when an owner voluntarily decides to propose a project. Which means the real question is not, am I in danger? The real question is, what is my land now allowed to become? And what is my neighborhood's land now allowed to become? There are 2 completely different questions. And for the first time in the modern history of this peninsula, the answer is both of them are measured from the feet from the train platform. So, let me give you my honest opinion. And this is the whole entire thesis of the video. I think the single most underpriced variable in San Mateo County real estate right now is distance to the station. Not the school district, not the size of the lot, not rather the kitchen is done. Distance to a station. Because a quarter mile just went from being nice walkability note in the listing remarks to being an actual legal entitlement attached to the dirt. And almost nobody has priced it for that yet. That is not a prediction. That is just what I'm seeing on the ground. Now, the obvious question, why here? Why did Sacramento pick this county? And why did they pick the train as a thing that decides everything? The answer is change number 2. And it is one that most of you has been physically riding for the last 2 years without thinking about it. Change number 2, the train got good, and that is the whole reason. Here's the thing that people who move here recently do not know, and people who have been here 20 years have not fully absorbed. Caltrain used to be bad. I do not mean that in an insult. I mean it as a fact about the product. Diesel trains, slow acceleration, big gap in the schedule, and outside of rush hour. You are basically on your own. This is why nobody organized their life around it. This is why we all bought cars and sat on 101 and told ourselves that was normal. Then, in September 2024, they finished electrifying it, and the numbers are not settled. According to Caltrain, in the first fiscal year of electric service, the system carried 9.1 million passengers, up from 6.2 million the year before. Express trains now run San Francisco to San Jose in 1 hour. Local trains do the same, run 33% faster than the old diesel service. Weekend service doubled. Every single station now get a train in each direction at least every 30 minutes, and some get one every 15 minutes. Total system capacity went up about 30%. Now, put these 2 facts next to each other, because this is the connection nobody makes. The state did not upzone around transit because it liked trains. The state upzoned around trains because a train finally became a real alternative to car on the corridor. You cannot justify 9 stories next to a platform if the platform serves 4 trains a day. You absolutely can if it serves one every 30 minutes and get you to downtown San Francisco in under an hour. Electrification is what made SB 79 defensible. The law is the second domino. The train was the first one. And here's my read on what that means for you practically. If you are relocating here and you are choosing between 2 houses, and one of them is a 9-minute walk to the station, and one of them is a 9-minute drive, these 2 houses are not in the same market anymore. They were in the same market 5 years ago. They were not right now. One of them sits inside a state entitlement zone, one of them does not. And every buyer after you is going to figure that out. That cuts both ways. By the way, I will get to the ugly side of it in a minute, because there is one. Alright, pause. Let me take stock, because I know that was a lot. 2 things down: a state law that took effect 13 days ago and rezoned land around every Caltrain and BART station in the county. And a train that got 30% faster is carrying 3 million more people a year than it was 2 years ago. And I opened this video by telling you the bet everybody on the peninsula made, that you can never build anything here. Just got complicated. So here is what is still coming. Number 3, this is the one that I actually made this video for. It happened on May 1st in Menlo Park. It got covered as a business story, and I do not think a single person covered it as a real estate story. When you see it next to SB 79, the whole picture snaps into focus. I promise you, it is not what you're expecting. Number 4 is the risk, because everything I just told you resets on one assumption. And that assumption goes to a ballot in November. And number 5 is what all of this actually does to value of your specific house, which I'm going to answer with a piece of Peninsula history from 1863 that I did not know until I went and looked for it. Quick thing first, and this is relevant. A lot of you watching are not from here. You are relocating in, maybe a job, maybe from a city, maybe from another country entirely. And you are staring at a map, trying to figure out why a house in San Carlos costs what it costs. What's the difference between Bayside and the hillside, and why everybody keeps saying El Camino like it's a person? I put together a Peninsula relocation guide for exactly that. It walks through the towns, the Caltrain line, station by station, what your budget actually buys in each one, and how buying works here, which is fast and aggressive and catches almost everybody from out of state off guard. It is free, and it is the first link in the description. Grab it now, because the rest of the video is going to make a lot of sense with that map in front of you. Thinking about relocating to the San Francisco Bay Area? Well, I got just a thing for you. My team and I have actually taken the time to create the ultimate relocation guide, which is meant to save you hours of research, and I've linked it down below. From top employers, the best hospitals, and a boatload of other things that you will need to know before making the move, the best part about this guide is 100% free. That's right, you heard me right, 100% free. Just click the link in the description with the top pinned comment. Hope that helps. Change number 3. Meta just walked away from 1,730 homes. Okay, this is the section. For about 20 years, this peninsula has run on an unspoken deal. And the deal goes like this. A giant tech company wants to expand. The city says, fine, but you have to give us something. Housing, a grocery store, a park. And the company says, yes. Everybody shakes hands, and the city writes these promised units into its official housing plan. And we all move on with our lives. That was the model. Big companies build a campus, big company builds a neighborhood. On May 1st of this year, that model died. And I do not think most people know this. Here is what happened. Willow Village was Meta's mixed-use project in Menlo Park. 59 acres on the old Menlo Science and Technology Park site in Bellhaven. It was approved by the Menlo Park City Council in December of 2022. After roughly about 5 years of negotiations, and it was big, over 1,700 homes, up to 1.6 million square feet in office, a couple 100,000 square feet in retail, parks, and town square. And critically, for a neighborhood that does not have a full-service grocery store, does not have a pharmacy, and does not have a bank, it was supposed to bring all 3. On May 1st, 2026, Meta put it on hold. The company cited shifting real estate market conditions and a change in its space needs. Now, let me tell you why. This is not just sad news for Bellhaven, though it absolutely is that. According to the reporting on Menlo Park Housing Element, these Willow Village units were not a nice extra. They accounted for about 18% of the below market rate housing the state requires Menlo Park to plan for. and more than 100% of its market rate housing for the entire 2023 to 2031 cycle. More than 100% means Menlo Park's official plan for how it was going to meet its state housing obligations was, functionally, Meta will handle it. The mayor put it about as plainly as you can. According to the reporting in the Almanac, she said there is now a hole in the city's housing element. And here's the part that made me sit up. Meta is not in trouble. This is not a company that ran out of money. In the same quarter, it shelved the project. Meta reported over $56 billion in revenue and raising its capital guidance for the year into the range of $125 to $145 billion. The money did not disappear. It went to AI infrastructure. It went to data centers. It just did not go to Bellhaven. So put it together with me. The Peninsula's entire housing strategy for 2 decades was to make the housing a condition of the office space. And the office era, the Compass era, the we will build you a village era is over. This is not coming back in the form we knew it. Because the companies do not need the square footage anymore, and the ones that are spending on things that do not sit on Willow Road. Which means SB 79 is not a supplement to the old model. SB 79 is the replacement for the old model. This is the revelation. This is the thing I do not hear anybody say. The state looked at a region, outsourced its housing production to corporate goodwill, watched corporate goodwill get repriced in a single press release, and said fine, we will attach the entitlement to the land instead. Land does not have a quarterly earning call. Land does not pivot to AI. Here's my honest opinion. I think that is why SB 79 is going to matter more here than almost anywhere else in California. Not because the Peninsula is more political, because the Peninsula was more dependent on the thing that just broke. You can disagree with me on that. Tell me in the comment, but I will ask you to look at Menlo Park's housing element and tell me what the backup plan was. Because from where I'm sitting, the backup plan is now the only plan. Okay, now I owe you the risk. Because everything I have said from the last 15 minutes has one big assumption underneath it. I'm not going to hide it from you. Change number 4, the thing on your November ballot. Everything I just told you rests on the train. The SB 79's whole logic is that the train is a real alternative to a car. The height you can build is measured from the platform. The value I'm going to tell you to watch is measured in feet from the platform. So what happens if the train gets worse? Because that is on the table right now, this year. According to Caltrain's own budget projection, the agency is looking at roughly a $75 million annual shortfall for year to come. Ridership is up a lot. It's still well below where it was before the pandemic, and this is a system that historically covered most of the cost at the fare box. And in April of this year, the agency laid out what happens if a regional transit funding measure does not pass at the November 2026 election. According to that guidance, the options on the table include closing as much as a third of stations, cutting even a weekend service, and dropping frequencies to as little as 1 train an hour. Now, I want to be real precise, because this is exactly the kind of thing that gets turned into a fear-mongering thumbnail, and I'm not going to do that. That is a worst-case scenario, laid out by an agency that is making a case for funding. This is not a forecast. This is not anybody expects to happen. And frankly, a region that just built its entire new housing lot around this train has an enormous incentive to fund it. But it is a real risk. And it is the honest answer to why you should not go buy a condo right now. Not why you should go buy a condo tomorrow purely because it's 2 blocks from the station. Here's how I actually think about it as somebody who has to advise real people with real money. The SB 79 entitlement on a parcel is durable. It is a state law. It does not evaporate if Caltrain cuts a train. But the desirability of that parcel, the thing that makes somebody want to live in a 9-story building next to a platform in the first place, is not durable. It depends entirely on the train being good. So, if you are buying near a station, you are making two bets. Not one, you're betting on the entitlement, which I think is solid, and you are betting on the service, which goes to a vote in November. I'd rather you know that going in than finding out in the comment section. This is my job. Number 5. This is where I answer the question you actually clicked on this video for, which is, what does all of this do to my house? I want to answer it by going back to 1863, because when I found this, it genuinely changed how I think about this whole thing. Change number 5. The peninsula is being given back to the train. Why does San Mateo County exist in the shape that it does? Not the county, the shape. The reason there is a string of towns in the straight line, each one about the same distance apart, each one with a downtown that just happens to sit right next to a set of tracks. The San Francisco and the San Jose Railroad Incorporated in 1860. First stretch opened in 1863. The full 49-mile to San Jose was finished in January of 1864. And then the towns grew around the stops. Wealthy San Franciscans took the train down and built country estates along the line. The subdivisions followed the stations. The downtowns followed the subdivisions. Burlingame, San Mateo, Belmont, San Carlos, Redwood City, Menlo Park. Every one of them is, and its origin a place where a train stopped. And here is a detail that got me. According to the California Office of Historic Preservation, the Menlo Park Railway Station, built in 1867, is the oldest railroad passenger station still in use in California. It is still there. It is still a Caltrain stop. You can go stand on the platform this afternoon. So, think about what has actually happened over the last 160 years. This peninsula was created by a railroad. Every town on it is a station stop. And then, over the course of the 20th century, we spent an enormous amount of energy zoning the railway into irrelevance. We built the freeway. We pushed the density away from the tracks. We turned back to the train into a discount. We made the thing that built this place into a thing you apologize for in the listing. And on July 1st, 2026, the state of California reversed that. In one sentence, the train decides again. This is what I meant at the top when I said that bet just got complicated. So here's my actual answer. And this is my opinion as somebody who works here. Not a guarantee. I do not think SB 79 makes Peninsula real estate cheaper. I want to be really clear about that, because that is what a lot of people are going to want me to say. I do not believe it. According to MLS listings data, in June of 2026, there were 341 single-family homes for sale in the entire county. The long-run average goes back to 2000. It's about 1,287. We're sitting at roughly a quarter of the normal inventory. A law that permits building does not conjecture buildings. It takes years, capital, and a builder willing to do it. What I think SB 79 does is a reshore value. It creates 3 groups. Group 1, and I think this is the most mispriced thing in the county right now. Older, lower density, non-historical parcels sitting close to a station. On land zoned, residential, mixed use, or commercial. Try strip retail. Aging small apartment buildings. Big surface parking lots. These parcels just had an option attached to them by the state for free, without the owner doing a thing. Some of these owners have no idea. Group 2, the classic single-family neighborhoods that sits comfortably outside of the ring. Nothing about your entitlement changed, but here's what did change. Every parcel that got upzoned is now a place where density is supposed to go. And in my opinion, that makes the scarcity of a quiet, low-density street that is not in the ring more desirable, not less. The pressure has somewhere else to be. Group number 3. And this is the honest one. If you own a condo or a townhouse a quarter mile away from a platform, in a building that is 15 or 20 years old, you should be thinking clearly, because that thing that is now legal to build next to you is a brand new building with the same location advantage and none of your building's age. That is competition. That is not a disaster and it is not fast, but it is real. And I would rather tell you than sell you. This is a whole picture. This is what changed. Quick wrap up. Let me tie that off. 1. SB 79 took effect July 1st. San Mateo County is one of the 8 counties in the state where it applies. Housing near Caltrain and BART stations is now an allowed use, with the state setting the height on the scale that steps down as you move away from the platform. 2. The law exists because the train got good. Electrification took Caltrain from 6.2 million riders to 9.1 million in 1 year. Put San Francisco to San Jose at 1 hour express and added about 30% capacity. 3. The one that matters the most. Meta shelves Willow Village on May 1st, and with its more than 1,700 homes that were more than 100% of Menlo Park's market rate housing plan. The era of the tech company building the peninsula's housing is over. SB 79 is not a supplement to that model. It is the replacement for it. 4. The catch. Caltrain is starting at a roughly $75 million annual shortfall and has said that without a regional funding measure passing in November this year, 2026, service cuts are on the table. The entitlement is durable. The service is on the ballot. 5. And that is where it all goes is resale value around distance to the station. In a county where there are current a few hundred single-family homes for sale, against a long-run average is about 1,300. So the balance, because I promise you honestly, nothing here happens fast. Entitlement is not construction. Cities are actively drafting ordinances that will change the details block by block. And the number I'm giving you are going to move. For context on where we are right now, according to Redfin, the median sale price across San Mateo County was about $1.8 million over the 3 months ending in May, up around 2.5% year over year, with the home selling about 2 weeks. According to the MLS listing data, the median for single-family resale home specifically about 2.3 million in June. These two numbers look like they disagree. They do not. Redfin is blending in condos and townhomes, which are cheaper. MLS listings is looking only at single-family resale. Different question, different answer. Always check which one you are reading, because people quote whichever one helps their argument. Here is what I will leave you. If you own a home in this county and you're within a half a mile to a station, genuinely like to look at your parcel with you, not to list, to look at it. Because there's a decent chance the state changed what your land is allowed to do. And nobody told you. I do not think you should find that out from a developer's letter in the mail. My contact information is in the description. There's no pitch. 20 minutes on the phone is a completely normal reason to call me. And it is most of what I do. And if you are relocating in and you are earlier than that, download the Peninsula Relocation Guide. First link in the description. Free. It goes station by station down the line. What each town is actually like, what your budget realistically buy, and how to compete without overpaying, which is the part that gets newcomers hurt. And listen, some of you are going to disagree with me on Section 3. Some of you are going to think SB 79 is the best thing that ever happened here. And some of you are going to think it is a disaster. Tell me, I read the comments, and I have changed my mind on this channel before. If you live in Bellhaven, or you are on the planning commission, or you are a builder trying to actually pencil one of these projects, I especially want to hear from you because you know things I do not. I'm Decent Kai, and thanks for watching. See you next week.